Hi, everybody. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Peter Llewellyn. I run the services at MedCommsNetworking.com, where you'll find information, services, activity, events, and so on for people who work in and around the global medical communications, medical education, medical publishing businesses. One of the things we've done as a spin-off of that is we've developed an information resource at firstmedcommsjob.com, where you'll find lots of information specifically for people who are trying to find out more about medcoms and the job opportunities that are available. And what we're doing here is we're answering some of the questions that sort of frequently asked questions from job seekers. And I've got Simon and Alex from Helios Global Group to come online and give a bit of a perspective on the question, which is, what has been the effect of the pandemic on medical communications? And Alex, you're going to kick us off on that one.
Yes, I think I am. So I think I would probably touch on this more on the personal side of how has it affected people in medical communications. And I think the massive thing that has been highlighted is that it's the importance of communication. We are a medical communications agency, but finding new ways to stay in touch with each other as well as our clients has been really important. And as well for our clients to be in touch with other people. I would say personally, I don't like working from home. I'd say MedComms in general has always been quite flexible. They've been, I think most agencies are quite flexible and open for people to work from home as and when you might need. But I've never really enjoyed it. And it was a big learning curve for me. And I think for a lot of people, learning how to be productive while you're at home. But I think, we found many ways, and the industry itself is very flexible. It has shown that as we've been talking about, that the industry is growing, and we have found more and more ways to utilize virtual aspects and different and more interesting ways to actually communicate with each other. And it's actually been beneficial, I think, sometimes. I would say, on a more sort of person-to-person basis, at Helios, we have this big culture aspect, and I think most companies have a big focus on the social side. We're so used to talking to each other, seeing each other in the office, and that is lost. So I think a lot of companies, and us ourselves, we've really put a big focus on having more calls with each other, kind of talking to those times where you'd normally have your office coffee chat and things. That you do lose that, and it can be quite isolating. So I think everyone is kind of really focused on that, trying to do more social activities that are virtual. It is important. We do work hard, and you will work hard in MedComms, but I think the majority of companies, at least that I'm aware of, do also focus on the fact that you should be able to enjoy yourselves as well. And I'd say as well, client-wise, the relationships have actually, I think, benefited from it. Beforehand, I remember all my calls with my clients would just be a phone call, and you'd have them in the middle of the office meeting room table on a spider phone, and you would never see them. But because we've all pushed for this camera, this virtual face-to-face thing, I think our relationships with our clients have improved really quite a lot. So it isn't all negative. Obviously, it has been challenging, and I think most people know that it's been quite challenging. But it definitely has its benefits in that way, and it's something that we can take moving forwards, even when we do go back to normality, for sure.
Okay, it's interesting, cool. that whole video. I was just going to say, the whole video conferencing part. You do get to know your clients more personally, because you get to see, you're invited into their home, whether you like it or, well, whether they like it or not, perhaps is the way of putting it. So you get to see dogs, you get to see children, and it definitely builds a rapport that perhaps you might not otherwise have built with the client. So there has been that part that has been an improvement, I think, as a result of the pandemic. I mean, the other reflection, perhaps a broader scale reflection, is, again, what's it been like for MedComms in terms of activity compared with other industries? I mean, we all probably know people who've been in tourism or manufacturing who've all been furloughed. I mean, I've got certainly friends that have, had 6-8 months of real worry about, are they going to have a job to go back to? What I can say is MedComms, it's, well, for us at least, my personal experience, most of the guys that I know across the industry, there might have been 2-3 weeks where people went, what are we going to do? Because we're so used to in-person meetings. But that's changed now. Everything's gone virtual. And if anything, we're busier than ever, because by being virtual, you can actually conduct more of those meetings. You can have more sort of face-to-face time, but not actually face-to-face. It's virtual. So I think for us, Yeah, it's probably more job security. It has meant that we're busier. And I think Alex was already talking about, we do work hard in MedComms. That's the nature of what we do. We're a client service industry. So our clients look to us to kind of anticipate, to see what the problems are, to solve those problems. And of course, there's been more problems in some ways because it's been a whole new world. So it has meant it's hard work. I think for us personally within Helios, but also across the industry, you see a lot more emphasis on things like mental health, which is a good thing. I think we were already doing those things, but now you see a lot of the agencies are talking about doing the mental health first aid qualifications. We're certainly pursuing that. You've got a lot of emphasis on, is there enough, not mentorship, but like buddying, I guess, within your companies? Are you making sure that people are looking out for each other? Are you, as Alex talked about, trying to re-establish those social opportunities that you might otherwise have done face to face? How can you do it virtually? How can you make sure that people are having a water cooler moment, as they'd say in the States, or basically a tea morning as we would have? I think we've done a lot to try and address that. And again, I think there are solutions there which have made it better. What I would say is it doesn't replace being in the office. I think a lot of us are really looking forward in the UK, looking forward to getting back to being in the office, hopefully from Monday, because we've no longer got the restrictions. So I think that would be brilliant from our point of view. I think we will encourage people to be back in the office, but as Alex has already pointed out, MedComms was always flexible. I think we'll be more flexible in the future because it's been proven that you can actually continue working completely virtually. And I don't think it's great, personally, I don't think it's great for new starters.
Right. Okay.
Go on, Alex. Sorry.
Yeah, I was actually going to say on the client side, obviously, as you mentioned, we are doing more and more. But I think I would say consistently our clients do also miss that face-to-face. They miss meeting their HCPs in person, the doctors and things. So I don't think we're going to lose that. It might be that it isn't as often as it was. You do normally get the opportunity to travel quite a lot in MedComms, which is surprising to a lot of people. And it's a really, if you love traveling, it's a really great thing that you can include in your job. So I don't think that aspect will be lost, but I do think maybe there'll be a bit of a shift, or there might be less of that than there was in the past, just because obviously it's more cost effective and more time effective to do virtual things. But I definitely think the clients are desperate as well to also see each other in person in the same way that we are desperate to see our colleagues.
Yeah. I mean, just as an overall level, I mean, I think there's a couple of important messages in there. I mean, the MedComms business has, we keep saying it's been booming for the last year and a half, in contrast to some of the people around us. And, we should respect what's going on around us. But in our business, there's a lot of work. And MedComms had, I mean, I'm always a little bit sort of like, we talked a lot about flexibility a couple of years ago, and MedComms agencies and people were going in that direction. But boy, has it accelerated over the last 18 months, and many more people have gone far faster down that line than perhaps they were originally expecting. And we have proven that it can work. But it is interesting, this contrast between people who really would like to get back to the office and people who don't. And I just think, we're going to see what I don't understand what everyone always means by hybrid approaches to working. I don't think they do either, but there's a lot of talk about hybrid, which in its simplest sense means there's just more flexibility, maybe come in the office sometimes, work at home, whatever. I think organizationally that might prove a bit more challenging than some people are willing to admit to, but let's put that one to one side. But MedComms is thriving, the technology is there, and also what's happened, and as a direct result of pandemic and that sort of acceleration of digitization, is like you were touching on, Simon, the way conferences have changed, events have changed, and that's quite exciting to be part of. And again, some of us might say, well, we could have been doing that a while ago, but we've accelerated, and we're, some of you are involved in really quite interesting projects, which have sort of been forced a little bit because of the whole pandemic situation. Yeah, and that's fun and that's exciting. Yeah.
And Peter, I come back on. I mean, I appreciate what you're saying. I agree. I don't think it will be straightforward to go to more flexible working. But I think we will learn from it in the same way that we've had to adapt over the last 18 months. We will adapt again to having perhaps people working in the office 2-3 days a week. What's going to be important is the coordination at that point, because we do work in teams, definitely. Yeah. Even if you've got a large organization, you tend to work in sort of teams of 5, maybe 10, depending on the projects, and you need to be at least seeing each other regularly to be able to share all of that additional information that it's hard to convey when you're doing a very transactional thing over the internet or by email.
Yeah. Even video conferencing, it doesn't replace it.
It doesn't
Let's be
work.
honest about it.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
does. It works up to a point. Okay, right. Look, I think that's interesting. We've got some good points there. Nice conversation. Thank you very much, guys. I'm going to draw this bit to a halt. Say thank you to Simon and Alex. I know both of you. I can say for both of you that you're very happy to hear from people. LinkedIn
Absolutely.
is the obvious way. So if anyone's watching this, please follow up. I'm very happy to hear from people. And do please go and visit firstmedcommsjob.com, where you'll find loads of information, insights, and helpful advice, hopefully, if you're looking for a job in MedComms. So on that note, I'd like us to just give a little bit of wave, say thank you and stay safe. Bye-bye.